Survival starts in total sensory deprivation. You are born blind inside a tree hollow somewhere in a North American forest, unable to see the walls around you. You spend your first weeks pushing through the dark toward the warmth of your mother, feeding and sleeping in the shadows. At 3 weeks, your eyes open to a patch of light just above your head. You try to reach it, hooking your claws into the bark and pulling yourself up the inside of the trunk. But your back legs lack the strength to hold your weight. You lose your grip and slide back down, landing in a heap on your siblings. You try again, reaching far enough to hook your front paws over the entrance, but as you lunge for the branch outside, you slip. You fall from the trunk and hit the ground with your legs folding under you. Before you can recover, your mother is already coming down the bark head first to carry you back up to the den by the scruff of your neck. By 8 weeks old, your mother leads the way out of the den and down to the nearest stream. This is the primary zone where you will learn to find the calories needed to sustain your growth. You wade in, splashing your paws against the rocks and stirring up mud, only to have a crayfish clamp onto your paw. You watch your mother instead. She doesn't use speed. She moves her paws slowly along the riverbed, feeling for movement before pinning the prey down. You copy her rhythm, and eventually you feel a small shift under your left paw and press down. The famous cunning associated with your species is a set of skills learned through this cycle of physical failure and maternal rescue. Each fall and each sting refine your movements until the mechanics of survival become habit. At 5 months, your mother begins leaving you for longer stretches each day. Eventually, she stops returning. You are now isolated, forced to cover ground and find food entirely on your own. You find a bird's nest in a tree fork, but as you reach for the eggs, a blue jay strikes the back of your head. You swipe and miss as the bird circles back, hitting you again until you lose your grip and drop to the ground. You stay low in the roots, watching until the jay moves off, and only then do you climb back up for the meal. Later, you find a cache of grubs in a fallen log, but an opossum walks straight towards your find. You swipe at it, and the opossum immediately drops flat against the log, its mouth open and its body perfectly still. You probe the body with your paw, but it doesn't move. You finish the grubs and leave. This encounter demonstrates that waiting costs you nothing. Sometimes a potential fight can be avoided by simply observing a target's reaction. By your first year, you have developed the patience to catch 3 fish in a row in the flooded shallows, but a river otter cuts through the water upstream, moving towards you at high speed. The otter is built for aquatic combat in a way you are not. You drop the fish and scramble up the nearest trunk, watching from the branches as the otter takes your catch and disappears. Successfully navigating your first months of independence involves recognizing when the calorie cost of a fight is higher than the value of the food. Survival depends on knowing when to concede ground to better adapted predators. You're 2 years old now. You have spent enough time on this stretch of the riverbank to know every submerged log and hollow root. This familiarity allows you to find food where others can't. One morning, you find a heavier male raccoon digging up a food cache you buried under a fallen oak. You need him off your food, so you drop from a branch above and land directly on his back. He throws you off, and you circle each other. He's wider across the shoulders, so you use your agility to shift your weight and avoid a direct hit. As he lunges, you turn and rake your claws across his face with your full weight behind the swing, forcing him to retreat into the trees. By early spring, a mate has chosen a hollow in that same oak tree. You're 2.5 years old, and your quiet survival routine is interrupted by 4 kits emerging from the den. Your focus shifts from hoarding calories for yourself to the loud, chaotic task of keeping the kits from wandering into deep water. You spend your days pulling them back from the edge of the bank by the scruff, often sacrificing your own hunting time to keep them on dry ground. This protection becomes physical when a great horned owl dives toward the smallest kit at the back of the group. You throw yourself upward, swinging your front paws at the owl's body in midair. The hit is hard enough to knock the bird off its flight path, forcing it to pull up and retreat. By defending the kits, you are trading your own physical safety for their future. You've moved from merely sustaining yourself to ensuring these learned behaviors carry on after you are gone. You're 5 years old. A ground squirrel has been raiding your food cache for 3 days, and today you follow it past the safety of the trees and out into an open field. As you move toward the squirrel's burrow, You detach from the vertical escape routes of the forest. In this wide, blank zone, the specialized skills you developed for the riverbank no longer provide protection. Your body goes still. A coyote is standing in the grass 10 feet behind you, blocking your path back to the trees. In this exposed field, you are a visible target with nowhere to climb. You turn toward the burrow, but a second coyote emerges from the brush. They split apart, one circling to your left and the other to your right. When you turn to face one, you leave your back exposed to the other. Your experience in one-on-one territorial fights cannot account for this pincer maneuver. You rake your claws across the face of the first coyote as it lunges, but the second one hits you from behind before you can pivot. You go down fighting, outmatched by a predatory tactic that your environment never prepared you for. In the wild, survival is a temporary lease. You have lasted long enough to pass your behaviors down to the next generation, who are now using those same techniques to work the riverbank downstream.